Welcome back, everybody. I am your host, Michael Nijma, and this is the SOS podcast about the unhoused community. And I am your host, Michael Nijma. And today we have a pretty good couple topics we're going to discuss. One is the common misconceptions that's around the unhoused community, and also we're going to update you guys with a couple of stories we talked about on the last podcast. So, without further ado, here are our guests again. John Betts. Say hello, everybody. John Betts.
Hello.
And Amanda Cole over here, another guest of ours.
Ho ho ho, hi.
Alright, so the first topic we'll be discussing today is the common misconceptions that are around the unhoused community. So we've written down 6 big misconceptions that have been going around in the Santa Clara County especially. And we want to discuss those to bring awareness to them and sort of debunk those. So whoever wants to start with the first one.
I guess I could start. Well, one myth is that all the homeless people are just lazy, and if they just had a job, then all their problems would be solved. They wouldn't be, living in this shoddy fashion. But really, if people have been experiencing extreme hardship for quite some time, they're often practically starving. No idea, where. And then a lot of their each day is taken up. Figure out where are they going to get food, or where are they going to, can they get any money somehow to buy any food, or they have to figure out where there's somewhere that's giving out free food. Then they have to figure out how to get there, which are often the way across town, some other place. While depending on public transportation, that's now charging $2.50 a trip, and if you're just paying cash, you don't even get the discount day pass rate. So if you're paying cash, you are stuck paying $2.50 every time you ride 3 blocks. If you get off and have to go another direction, you got to pay $2.50 again. And so throughout your day, you would have probably used up $20 just to go across town to try and get your free meal or something. And then also they have to be worried if they don't have a safe place for their belongings. Either they have to try to have it hidden, or have somebody else stay behind to keep an eye on it, or else carry it all with them. No wonder sometimes people are using a shopping cart. How else can they carry and maintain their belongings that have to keep being moved? And then that's the pub. Then they're always trying to clamp down and make it a crime to have a shopping cart and give people tickets for having a shopping cart. And then too, if any of them have a job, not very many of them going to have like the fantastic education and make the great impression that's going to land them some really good, well-paying jobs. So they're going to they're lucky even if they have a full-time job, that it would even pay enough to pay a month's rent anywhere around here, even for the cheapest apartment, which is, $2,000 something or other? And so there goes that myth that the job will solve all these problems. Want to take it from there?
So, to sum that up, food, shelter, clothing are rights, and none of those are being provided. So without those, it is very difficult to have a life. And we've seen people run out of the trees, starve so thin, and just desperate for even a granola bar, having not eaten for several days. So that person is not going to be interview ready or job ready. And we also have seen 3 women who are pregnant and terrified as to how that's going to go for them, and they're not also going to be able to work right now with a new baby. My 2 myths are that SSI would be able to support seniors or anyone on SSI. The people that I know get about $900, which is half of what rents cost. The cheapest apartment is about $1,800. So even if you spend every penny, so we have this mass number of seniors that are not going to be able to be housed or find housing, Even rooms are $1,000, so that's more than they get their entire check. The other one is that social services are. Well, at Cortese's seminar, one of the questions was, does social services getting welfare actually promote homelessness or being unhoused? And in the way that it does is that it doesn't even provide enough. There's a $289 stipend for housing. There is no such thing as $289 housing that I know of anywhere. There used to be shelters that charged that much. Those closed down. So right now, that isn't even an option. And you're living on $150 of a grant through general assistance, and no one can survive on that amount. I mean, if you can, you're very good at budgeting your money, and you're basically on the very minimal of existence, and definitely not ready to get clothing for an interview or have the resources needed to be able to be productive in the community. Not for want of being part of the community. We just left a camp on Moore Park in Winchester where people have Christmas trees up, are still maintaining Christmas spirit, are still trying to keep their spirits up. Even people in houses are not doing that, and this camp is keeping a positive attitude even in their situation, and it's raining.
And then, that thing of, don't put out any garbage cans or provide any way for people to have restrooms or wash stations, because that would just encourage them to keep living this way. Well, if you're at the bottom of this outrageous inequality, unequal situation Silicon Valley has created, there is nowhere to just crawl off and disappear to. This is where you are, and you got to make a go of it somehow, right here, wherever the heck the person is. And that's not, they're not just doing it to be malicious and bother the well-heeled people. And the well-heeled people often have this real derogatory attitude that these people are just a malicious nuisance, and basically it's like to call them blight.
Speaking of blight, at Felipe, which was definitely called blight, we saw a woman who doesn't have any clothing, obviously was trying to do the best she can, just kind of have a t-shirt tied under her crotch and papers tied with rope around her feet for shoes. So that person, again, is definitely going to need zero-income housing, and now.
So that's why every time you turn around, you have all these politicians and people talking about, we just need affordable housing. Well, affordable for who? And if the median income in this area is something like $100,000 a year, there's a whole bunch of people who will not be having the income to live in any of that affordable housing.
Actually, you can be making like $70,000 a year and be considered low income in this area.
90 is affordable housing. That's what we're competing against. People who make $90,000 a year. John makes like $18,000.
So then those are the people who get in all the so-called affordable housing, not the people who are the struggling masses down below that. The percentage of people, and so no matter how much you have a high income group, you're going to have a lot more low income people.
And get this, in this capitalistic society, I was listening to the city council in Palo Alto on the radio. They won't even allow market value to be built right now, so they're definitely not going to do affordable housing because it's not profitable. So they're not even approving those.
I also heard one common misconception that why don't they just, especially for the Santa Clara County, why don't they just move somewhere else? That's one of the common misconceptions I heard around. What do you guys think about that one, if you want to debunk that?
And also, a lot of people are accusing people that are coming here because all the services are so great, so we're just promoting more homeless people coming here. Yeah. Most of the people we know have been there their whole life. They're local people. John's been here for 60 years.
Yeah.
60 more than 60.
And like one thing is, when we were in Las Vegas, which is not known for how having a great homeless program. We actually showed up within 2 days of being destitute, stuck on the street, nowhere to go. We were able to be in shelters and no questions asked. At least we were able to do that. I don't think here we would probably have been waiting around about 3 weeks with our freezing and in a just standing around
and have to get a referral.
And have to get a referral.
Everything is referral only now.
And I think that's a big mistake around here too. And I think part of the problem is there's basically nepotism of most of the people in the housing department and the Office of Supportive Housing. Main people, the big shots in those organizations, all used to work for Home First. And guess who's getting all the contracts to serve the homeless community? Home First, mostly. And also, the contracts are all issued in a competitive basis. So basically, you're just going to get the one that's going to give you the most stripped down services is going to get the contract. So that's not encouraging the best program. That's encouraging the most cut rate program.
And that was proven by, we just had a meeting with the people that are hiring these contractors, and they said they just picked the one at the lowest bid. And they're going to do the minimal, and that was the beautification crew that's going around taking everybody's belongings and cleaning up trash.
Okay. And then also, there's a thing called the common good, and our societies used to have that be the main focus of a community or a city, was the common good. The things were there for everybody, like parks, places for people to gather, natural settings like for people to enjoy, and in hospitals, care for the injured and the sick and the elderly and the poor. But all of that's being whittled down as if it had no value, and that trying to turn it all into just like basically cash and carry privatization like of all this. A lot of our health systems are all privatized. Yes. Providers.
And here is another myth, that the mentally ill have services provided for them, and that loads of money has been pushed into services for the severe mentally ill people. But we all know people walking along the street at St. James Park right now, stripping off his clothes, and been there for a long time, needs to have help with the independent living skills, and cannot take care of himself, wandering around St. James Park. There is one team that I just found out about that I think is pretty new, so I want to say that one thing does exist, and that's a mental health crisis team now will come out if somebody is in mental crisis, and only if they're currently in crisis and in danger to themselves or others. So that does exist now.
That's good. That's really good.
But the question, does anybody know about that team? Does general public or any people like policemen and community service people, do they know about that group? Do they know how to call them up when they're called out to do something about somebody having some kind of mental health crisis?
Especially the police need to have that number, because they go out there and say, "Get out of here! Get out of here!"
Yeah, you've witnessed that.
Yes.
Naked man
could not get his own clothes on, and the police are telling him to get out of here.
Just yelling at him.
And making him scared.
And
okay, on to the news.
Okay.
So now we'll be discussing some updates. We have some stories about the Baptist Church that we want to update on, and just the daily news going on. So, John, if you want to update us about the Baptist Church, what happened there?
Well, we still don't know. Still, nobody seemed to have ever been. The word still never have gotten out to the media or the public. How did that take place? Really would like to know, how did some guy who we'd been talking to an hour or two before and seemed normal, helpful, and mellow.
37 minutes before he stabbed 5 people. 37 minutes before that, he was talking and joking with us.
And several other members of our group, Urge, she was asking if he'd like to help participate in painting the tombstones to honor all the homeless that died this year that we were working on that project that day. He said he'd like to participate in it. How does he suddenly go completely berserk 45 minutes later, kill 2 people and stab 3 more, stab people? I really like to know what triggered that.
But we wanted to discuss, and one person in the news was saying, I want to acknowledge the police, that they took charge, and no one else is acknowledging the need for the police in this situation. But we wanted to acknowledge that the excessive force that did occur, and they're having to repair all the doors at the church now, and that they banged in every single door. The guy was already gone at that point.
He was outside, and they went around banging. We hear from sources there and who are helping repair stuff that they kicked all the doors in throughout the whole place, thinking, oh, maybe he's hiding in the broom closet or something. And
anyway, next item.
Okay, then I did also do a little research, and this might be, some people might want to look into this, that there's a whole bunch of money that's really supposed to be getting used up, that's for people to utilize for all sorts of solutions to the homeless situation. So let me see if I can find that piece of paper. I just had it. Anybody want to talk?
I can insert something. On the SSI issue, an example of myths that will be sufficient for someone to live on. As soon as there's one bureaucratic stumbling block, you lose your SSI, and people on the street don't have the caseworker or the outreach person to look into that, or they know how to know what happened there, and then they just have all of a sudden have no money for years. And that happened to Bunny Good, who later got beaten up in Palo Alto and died, and she'd been on the street for 30 years. She ended up having $11,000 in her bank account, which she didn't even know about, that she could have been housed with that money. So those things, people need help with that, and SSI is such a faulty system.
Okay, here's some things. There's the CARES Act. You hear a lot about it, but not all the CARES Act money. Some of it was for this project Room Key and all that kind of thing. They had it running out the end of this December, but not all this funding really is running out. So here's something that says $425 million for substance abuse and mental health services called SAMSHSHA. So just mental health needs. $100 million for grants, contracts, or cooperative agreements to public entities to enable entities to address emergency substance abuse or mental health needs in local communities. Now, wouldn't it be nice if we could find out is anybody taking advantage, get this funding to actually do that? And then Office of Special Needs Assistance Programs, homeless assistant grants, $4 billion open till September 2022. That funding is still available, and it's not ending the end of this month. So let's find out, or try to get any of our government officials to say, are they doing anything with all this that's being offered? Then there's homeless assistant grants for individuals and families who are homeless or receiving homeless assistance, and to support additional homeless assistance and preventive activities to mitigate impacts created by the coronavirus under Emergency Solution Grants. Emergency Solution Grants Program. So that's called ESG. So maybe people should all try to be also asking, is anybody doing anything with that? Then Congress has provided $4 billion for HUD's ESG program for local governments to prevent and prepare for and respond to coronavirus among individuals, families who are homeless, receiving homeless assistance, or receiving homeless help. And so there's all that is supposed to be available. HUD wants to create quality, affordable homes for all. Info about its programs is www.hud.gov. Maybe some people should call that up. Then info on opportunity zones, go to https opportunityzones.hud.gov/. Then connect with HUD on social media and follow Secretary Carson's on Twitter and Facebook. Maybe somebody should try that. HUD's news alerts, blah blah blah. They'll tell you all about that. Then it says ESG programs to engage. It provides grant funding for homeless individuals and families living on the streets. 2, rapidly rehouse homeless individuals and families. 3, help operate and provide emergency services and emergency shelters for homeless individuals and families and prevent homeless individuals from being unhoused. So then it says emergency solutions grants are being issued from the City of San Jose. The City of San Jose receives funds from HUD to administer these grants, identify sheltered and unsheltered individuals and those at risk, and provide assistance for them to quickly regain stability and permanent housing. Are they doing any of this? And then grantees and then providers are selected through a competitive process and provide such services as homeless outreach, shelter for domestic violence victims, etc. And then FEMA reimbursement for non-congregate shelter, 75% of money reimbursed for hotels housing unhoused. California Department of Housing Project Home Key, and then we've always heard about that. $600 million state federal money. So some of that we hear about them utilizing that, but I think that's the money that's just running out the end of this month, which seems pretty stupid to put a bunch of money available but have it only available for a real short window of time. So then summary, HUD and FEMA money has a lot wider window of funding availability. Only Project Room Key has such a short time span. Okay.
And out of all of them, only Project Home Key we've even heard about.
Yeah, that's the only one the news ever talks about.
It seems like there should be a lot more coverage on these projects and that not a lot of people are knowing about that are going on, and it's just a lot of basically misplanning and essentially what I think is going on, and we need to bring a lot more awareness to it. And because a lot of people out there, from my last count I saw, there are 700-800 people that are unhoused, and numbers probably growing since COVID. And these projects that are happening are, I mean, should be helping, but they're not.
And then the city council, they keep saying, "Oh, we've used all the money we had available already, so we can't do anything else." And that's why we have to close several shelters, and then have to have everybody, all the homeless people, just concentrated in that South Hall place. So almost 300 people have to all be congregated in one place, which is just what you're not supposed to do in this COVID thing.
It feels like spinning wheels and getting nowhere, and it's felt like that to me for 12 years that I've been involved in this and been homeless. So a solution, I would say, is to keep pressure on those empty trailers that we've mentioned, the Newsom trailers. Keep pressure, maybe protest over there. Keep pressure on all of the available buildings and hotels that exist. We must keep after this and make sure that people are going to be able to utilize those places.
And we think more effort should be put into alternate buildings, because that's what Newsom wanted to promote in the first place. Before the COVID thing came down, he had this whole bunch of things he was going to do to help the homeless, and a large part was like promoting the purchase and utilization of non-traditional buildings like warehouse, other types of commercial buildings, etc. And then he even stipulated he wanted the programs to be done by new providers, not just the same old city, county, stock and trade providers. That's one of the things he said in the original statement. But then that whole thing got subverted by the big COVID threat. So then everything that has been done, though a number of things have been done to help the homeless by getting rid of a lot of the permits and stuff, seemed like they've just done this sort of drop in the bucket with all the funding that could have been available.
About 300, we think It was quoted about 330 people out of the 7,800
Yeah.
will be housed by these, and most of them are rapidly rehoused people, not the chronically unhoused.
Right. So they spent a whole bunch of money just to make these three interim sites, which are only going to house 300 people altogether, and then they misused the 100 trailers that would have housed a third of what they're housing in this three sites they spent millions of dollars on, but they just threw those trailers away and not.
Which they got for free
Yeah.
from Newsom.
And also, they've got all these buildings for these 300 sites for free, also donated. So it seemed like not making very good use of that money. That when you get the buildings for free, you still are using up several $1 million only to house 300 people. And then it's only temporary housing while you're. And they always have this model, oh, well, we get them ready for permanent housing when there isn't any permanent housing. So it's like trying to keep on put more shoes into the same shoe boxes. We're just trying to make till we have these shoes can be in this box temporarily till we can fit them into those other shoe boxes that are already too full of shoes already.
What was your cartoon model?
Oh,
Don't give them life vests.
Oh, yeah. How about I was saying, then what all the solutions for homelessness that the city has mostly been coming up with under there is basically a whole bunch more like flashlights and raincoats and just more green plastic bags to put trash in, and more wash stations and portable toilets. Though a lot of times it seemed like they're not really making that much effort to put those up, and those aren't really very good bathrooms for people to have to use all the time. Those are more to use in a sort of half temporary basis here and there, but that's all they want to give anybody at all is those things. In this COVID thing, you'd think it would be you would want to encourage more hygiene, not less, in a pandemic. Instead, it's, oh, we're having a pandemic. We better close all the places anybody can maintain their sanitation who aren't in the privileged classes.
I went to a restaurant over the weekend in Palo Alto, and the restaurant owner said, "This is the last time I can let you go to the bathroom. The county has ordered me to lock the doors, so I just wanted to tell you that." You guys, us guys who are trying to use the bathroom will not be able to do it anymore.
Yeah, he assumed us and two other anonymous people must all be part of the same homeless gang. When we were just there spending about $30 on his food,
That was a person with a lot of myths and a lot of assumptions, and he's panicking because he's going to lose his business if he can't offer any kind of services to people in the area. A lot of people are spending money at his place that probably are unhoused, but they need to eat.
Yeah. And so we have. Oh, and then the city council always this. Oh, we really, really wish we could hurry up and start doing sweeps again. Oh, there's. So then the Beautify people, the little homeless solution gang that's kind of run by the housing coalition of the housing department and the Office of Supportive Housing, for now are staving off the people trying to start sweeps because of the COVID thing. But then they're always saying, oh, but we have to go around and tell all the homeless people in the camp. So, well, just try and make sure you're not visible. Do the best you can to not be visible, and then everything will be okay. Well,
keep your camp within 12 feet. That's the rule. If you have more than 12 feet around you,
oh yeah,
then they're going to take that stuff.
Right. So they're giving themselves carte blanche, basically, to do sweeps disguised as beautification. Though they're claiming they're not going to stick to the letter of that rule and come around rounding people up if the thing isn't fitting into the 12-foot square. But who knows? They might still do it sometime.
All right, so that's about it for our podcast today. Or you have any more to add? Or
Did you get to say the thing about the money, social services money? Okay, yeah.
so that's about it for our podcast today. I'm your host Michael Nijma with my guests Amanda Cole and John Betts. And just remember, everybody, the power's in the people.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.